Call to order for a Watertown City Council meeting for January 5th of 2026. Please rise while Hank Rosso, the chaplain for Watertown Fire Rescue, leads us in prayer.
Thank you for joining me in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time together. I thank you for each one here that shares that common bond of a love and care for our community. God, we thank you for wisdom and understanding and insight, those good gifts that you desire for us to have. God, we thank you for unity. Lord, we don't always see eye to eye, but we stand shoulder to shoulder for a common purpose. We ask your hand upon this meeting and bless each one. We thank you for the gifts of our fire service and first responders, the police officers that keep us safe, and each one of these city services we often take for granted this last year and this coming year ahead. We thank you for all these things. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Finance Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Okay. Shetty?
Here.
Allen? Here. Hoyer? Absent?
No, he is here.
Oh, never mind. He's online. Got it. Here we are. Helene?
Here.
Mormon?
Here.
Jurens? Here. Peters? Here. Thank you.
Quorum is established. Chair will ask if there's any conflict of interest. Hearing none, I will ask for a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Motion made by Councilman Allen, seconded by Councilman Peters. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We are on to open forum. If there's anyone who would like to address the council on something tonight, please come forward. We have our good friend and former colleague here in these chambers, former councilman, current state senator Glenn Vilhauer.
Oh, thanks for the kind introduction, Mayor. Unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know that next week the legislative session, the 101st legislative session kicks off, and it's going to be an interesting one, no doubt about that. But I just wanted to let it be known that, hey, as representative or senator from this district, I'm there to listen to what the people around here have to say. And believe me, we take those seriously. You know, Reed, as you know, in the course of a session, I probably got 2,000 emails last year during the course of those 9-10 weeks that we were out there. And I try to respond in some fashion just to say, okay, noted or thank you, whatever. But it's those that come from people back here in this part of the state, or this, especially in Watertown, that I take seriously. So if you've got an issue that, you know, we get probably 500 to 600 bills, I'm guessing this year. We obviously can't get a chance to digest and become experts on an awful lot of those. So we have to rely upon people that know what these bills are about. You know, the lobbyists out there do an important job, but it's also constituents back home that we rely upon. So if you reach out to me, I'm going to pay special attention to your communication versus somebody from, you know, Buffalo or Hot Springs or whatever. So don't hesitate to reach out. And that includes even while we're sitting there in the floor debating a bill. I think people look at us when we're on our cell phones and think that we're not paying any attention to what's going on. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth. We're probably communicating with someone back home that's got a stake in the bill that we're debating, and I want to know what they have to say. So if you see me on my phone, and you'll see a lot of legislators on their phone, don't think that we're not paying attention. It couldn't be further from the truth. So anyway, look forward to representing and serving the people from District 5 again. And again, don't hesitate to reach out, and I'll do the best I can, and listen is what I can promise, and see how the chips fall after that. Thank you.
Thank you. I know it's a long time away and a lot of work while you're out there, so keep doing a great job representing District 5.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address?
Actually, forgot one more thing. I'm sorry. Recently, this body passed an ordinance dealing with THC, restricting use of that. I've got a bill put together, working with the Legislative Research Council out in Pierre. I got a bill ready to drop. I got a prime already on the House side. I'll be priming the Senate side. So it's patterned very closely after what you folks here in Watertown. And now it's interesting is the Attorney General is also getting involved in some of these same issues. So I'm not quite sure if he might have legislation that somehow conflicts or how that'll work with the bill that I'm proposing. But anyway, I'm gonna try to get that through, and I think it shouldn't be too much of a battle. But anyway, I just want to let you know that I do have a bill that's ready to be dropped and presented then. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council on something tonight? I'll close open forum and we will go into item 10A, an approval of a bid award for project 2528 Stokes Thomas Lake City Park drainage to Level Contracting LLC in the amount of $79,000 roughly. We'll go to our city engineer, Justin Peterson, for more information.
Thank you, Mayor. You see on the screen the red circle there, that's the city park. There are 22 campsites in that area. And during wet years, those spots flood tend to not be usable. So this project is trying to help solve that issue. It's a installed drain tile. We received 9 bids, and low bid, it was from Level Contracting for $79,000. And Dusty's here to also answer some questions, and so we'll stand by.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve? And I actually do think I have a question for Park and Rec Director Rodick, but I can wait until after I take a motion first. Unless you wanted to add something before so can I get a motion to approve the bid award? Made by Councilman Mormon, seconded by Councilman Schutte. Let's open it up for questions, comments. I'm going to start. Director Rodick, thank you for being here tonight. I would just like to tell the public a little bit more about, I know that this is something that I think it was very early on when you came to Watertown, you saw this as a problem and you had been looking into addressing this because we're losing a lot of campsites. So a lot of families are losing the opportunity to enjoy our lake, and then also we're losing a lot of potential revenue. Could you explain a little bit more for the public?
Correct. Okay, I wanted to make sure this thing was on. Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that because I just happened to, earlier in the season when Justin and I were talking about this, I pulled up an email that I had sent to him. And for example, in 2025, those 22 sites were closed for 90 days. So again, there's a loss of the recreational opportunity, but from a financial side of things, site cost is $30 per night. $30 per night times 90 days times 22 sites is $59,000 at full occupancy. If we can have a project like this that will reduce that downtime by even half, that's still $29,700, of potential revenue gained. Let's be realistic, we're not gonna have 100% occupancy during that time, but even take that to a reasonable 50% occupancy, we're looking to, realize $14,850 back. So even if, this project with some potential change orders came in at $120,000, we're looking at a break even of 8.1 years.
Thank you.
Yep.
And just for anybody who might have a question, so the water will be going across the street, so across South Lake Drive, into an area that is largely already wet. Or where is it
Actually,
going to go?
the drain tile system will drain to, a central pipe that will be collected at a sump area near the seawall area. And then when the lake level is low, let's say we have a large rain event and the lake can take it, it can drain out of the bottom of that sump, manually. Or if we have a situation where the lake level is high and we're still high, but we still have capacity in the lake, we can, because if you've noticed, we're constantly pumping different areas. It will give a central area for that water to accumulate, and you could use a single pump to pump it into the lake. So instead of chasing pumps all over and everything else, it will drain to a central area.
All right, thank you. Council, any more questions? Councilman Allen? Yep.
Yeah, Dusty, I think Mayor Holeen said, initially, well, it was gonna go east across the road, and it's not doing that. And is that because that water table, I mean, you couldn't really pump anything into that. The water table there, I assume, impacts all of that camp area that we're talking about draining. Is that correct?
It does.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Councilman Jerns.
I'm a little confused on the numbers, on the break even versus our cost versus potential lost revenue. Could you go through that number again?
Okay.
I got confused at 8.1 years.
Okay. Let's, and again, I was just using the contract is for what, 79, something like that?
And you lost how much in 2025 alone?
Well, again, in 2025, if you assumed all 90 days were, usable and 100% occupancy, that was $59,400. Again, being more realistic, you're not going to have 100% occupancy. And again, I was looking at those 90 days. If we can reduce that downtime by 50%, that's 45 days. So that's half of that 59.4,
Yeah.
which gets us at 29.7. That's at full occupancy. So take 50% occupancy, that
Yeah.
gets us to the 14,850.
Okay. I dug into it some. Are we raising those up also?
Are we raising
Are we raising the,
the sites?
yeah,
We have not. I mean, I think they may have been, there's just some material that's been added to them in the past, but this is specifically, tonight is a drainage system.
I have the privilege to driving by there a ton. Because I just love to take that way home. They're not only in rain, rain events, they're always closed. Did we look at the cost of raising these sites? Or we're just draining water?
And I don't want to answer for you, but I remember several summers ago when this was first brought up, part of the problem is you would have to raise the entire site, not just the site of where the camper is, because then people have their lawn chairs out and they want to fire, and so you'd have to raise the entire area, I think was part of the issue at the time, but
Correct.
Councilman Peters, you had something you wanted to add?
Well, just a clarification, so if we're draining it, are they going to flood as much? I'm assuming what you're saying is it's gonna fix a problem or not, are they gonna stay open?
Do you want to take some of that? I can answer, but we'll get the engineer's perspective.
In the past, some of those pads have been raised up with some material. This is strictly a drainage project, and Austin designed it so that we could collect it all into one spot and open up more of the sites, like Dusty was saying. Did I answer your question? Or?
Yeah, this has been a thorn in my side ever since the city opened up those additional spots, because most of the time people can't camp there. And when they are, there's water around them, and it's an insect, mosquito infested operation. So it's been a frustrating thing, hasn't it, Dusty? I mean, I'm sure we agree on this.
It has. Hence, that's why we thought we would try and move that water off of those areas faster.
So when it comes to engineering, are we, I caught a little bit about where you're sending this water. We really getting rid of it? And I think a little bit of what Doug was alluding to. I mean, engineers are paid to, I think you just said Austin Engineering was hired to. Help me out, Justin.
Right now, correct me if I'm wrong, Dusty, right now, the drag pumps around to get the low spots and pump them
I've
over.
seen them there, yeah, agree.
What we're trying to do is collect it into one spot, so it makes it easier to pump. And hopefully, if it works like it should, these areas will be draining faster, and they'll be able to open it up.
So comparable would be a homeowners who has a sump pump in their drainage field for their basement. It's gonna go to the collecting point. We're only solving then for a 1 inch, 2 inch rain event. Is that similar to, am I on the, I mean, I'm not sure that this is solving anything. I wanna know, I'd like to know, what are we solving?
We're reducing the amount of time that those sites are closed. Again, I went into this, so if we could get a 50% reduction of, let's say the 90 days to 45 days, I would deem that a success.
Yeah.
Plus, it's gonna dewater those areas faster. We're not necessarily gonna have cattails growing in there.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes breeding, what have you. Is it gonna solve it 100%? No. And again, I never thought it would, Maybe we build a campground somewhere else. It's tough with the drainage there. So this is an opportunity to at least move that water a little faster.
I support this. I believe it's wise use of the taxpayers' money. I guess time will tell.
Councilman Peters. Councilman Mormon.
I support this, not only on the revenue standpoint of which we can generate back, being able to rent out these camping spots, but also just the basic aesthetics of the park. Instead of having a park that's been a long time standing place in our community, having that sitting underwater all summer and, not looking very attractive to public coming in from out of town. This just helps drain it and give us a more just aesthetically appeasing, appealing park, letting the water drain back into the lake. And then also, if we did raise a bunch of area out there, I'm afraid we would probably have a whole room full of people from Paradise Drive saying, if you're gonna raise City Park, now all that water is gonna flood into our homes. And so I would say there's probably a huge tread lightly when it comes to, raising land out there versus one property owner saying, well, now you're gonna make me the low spot and flood me out instead. So I think it's a way to take care of the water that we have on our property by draining it back into the lake. And I think it's a great way to just have City Park be much more dry and aesthetically appealing throughout the summer.
Councilman Shetty, did you have your hand up earlier? Okay, Councilman Allen.
The other thing, I don't know how many trees are gone out there now, but that's opened up the park pretty substantially. And I think things should dry out a little faster. It's not as shaded, there'll be more sun there. So hopefully all these things will combine to achieve the goal of, whether it's 50% or whatever, we'll get more use out of it.
I would agree.
I support it as well.
This is similar to an agricultural application. The use of drain tile to allow additional farming on different lands, so.
I guess,
Mayor, I've got my hand up.
oh, okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilman Hoyer. Thank you for addressing that. So Councilman Hoyer.
So I'm just gonna toss out, I've been camping at City Park since 1996, pre the expansion, and, seen it the whole time. The concerns about raising the pads, no legitimate, air hole needs correct, that you do have to raise everything. I mean, as it stands right now, the pads are rarely underwater. You'll see it once in a while where campers are sitting on the pads and they're on islands, and they don't have anywhere to put anything else. I think the drain tile is a really good step the right direction. It's definitely going to help mitigate it. I ran the math too, Dusty, yesterday, just looking at sites and knowing what the rates are. And, you know, your estimate is about where I ended up too. I said we break even in about 10 years realistically. And so I feel good about that. It opens up more revenue. It also helps us utilize the extra spaces out there too. Doesn't let rain dictate so much. And then it also helps us get started a little earlier in the spring when we're getting most of that flooding anyway. The only question I kind of had about it was with the sump area being located over by the seawall, because the way it kind of works, it humps up to that seawall, so all the water gets kind of trapped and flowing to the lake. When we're pumping it, I assume we're pumping into the lake then, the holding sump, that underground, or are we doing some sort of retention pond kind of fixture? Can you just delve into that quick for me?
Engineer Peterson?
It's, I guess the easiest way for me to describe it, it's kind of like a manhole. It's underground, and you pump up and out of it.
Okay. Perfect. I was just curious if it was creating a potential water hazard at all or anything, but nope. That sounds good to me. And yeah, guys, I mean, realistically, we often lose a month of it, no matter what, every year when it could be utilized, and then you're just going up in the old park. So that's better utilize that space. I think that, and it's definitely a utilized park, that's for sure. So what a great asset we have, and I'm glad that we can open up some more potential for usage.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Before I address again, does any councilman have any other comment? I'd just like to point out one thing. I mean, you also have the residual income of campers when they come to town usually spend money elsewhere, not just renting a campsite. So that's also residual income to the town, which is good to take into consideration. I think, I'll just say from my standpoint, Director Rodick, great idea. I remember you coming up with it years ago. Wholly behind the idea, my question is more on the engineering side of it, which would be what Councilman Jurin said. Is this, like, we've seen really bad flooding out there. Is this designed to handle 2 inches of rain? Is it designed to handle, I guess, what are we getting? How much water abatement are we getting? And if you don't know the answer, that's fine. I'm still supporting the idea because I can see the benefit of it. I hope that these questions were addressed in the engineering aspect of it.
There you go.
Okay.
I don't know what the level is exactly, but it's really meant to, kind of the nuisance type ponding, try to prevent that and drain it faster. That's really the key. It still will fill up, but it will drain faster is the goal.
Yeah, it's an easy project to get behind because we can see the benefit of it, and it's a sore spot and advantage for the community just from an engineering standpoint, which I don't understand, I'll admit that, but hope we're getting a lot out of it. Any other questions or comments from council?
I do.
Councilman Jurens.
So part of it is aesthetics also, because they can go in and mow before the cattails show up, right, Dusty? I'm sure your mowers have dealt with this long enough. Could you clarify one more thing? Where's the water ending up? And is it filtered before it goes into the lake? I think you may have alluded to some of this.
It goes through the drain tile, which has its own kind of filtration. The way the system works, there's filtration there. And then if the lake is lower, it'll drain down, filtered. The only time it's pumped is if it can't drain into the lake. And
Yeah, I was gonna say, just to add to that, the nature of a drain tile system is that water will percolate through the soil, which, will take out the heavy sediments. And then, most drain tile has some sort of a filter sock as a part of it, so.
Anything else, Councilman?
Yeah. I don't know if my comments were taken wrong, that's okay. But I would never suggest adding dirt to flood another neighboring area out. I am big-time supporter of what's going on here. I just have questions about the effectiveness and about the engineering. But I already know if it does get rid of the water, the aesthetics are solid because it's a well-driven road. It's a big visual for Watertown. It's an important park. Even Councilman Hoyer alluded to it. Tons of people want those spots, and most weeks and weekends they can't get in there. So provides a ton of good things. But that's all I have, Mayor. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, comments? The motion is to approve the bid award. All those in favor will say aye, opposed nay. Finance Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Okay. Shetty?
Aye.
Allen?
Aye.
Hoyer?
Aye.
Helene?
Aye.
Mormon?
Aye.
Jurens?
Aye.
Peters? All in favor.
Motion is unanimous in favor. Motion is approved. Item 11A is a first reading of an ordinance zoning text amendment to Chapter 21.24 Residential Storage District of the revised ordinances of the City of Watertown. We'll go to our Community Development Manager, Brandy Hanton, for more information.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is basically a cleanup to the residential storage district. It's accomplishing, creating, or establishing what the allowable materials are for these types of storage structures that would be appropriate being placed adjacent to residential districts. And then we also made sure that there were added protections and screening to the adjacent residential properties or zoning districts when a property is rezoned to allow for residential storage. And then the other thing that we are accomplishing with this is defining what a shipping container is, and then making sure that they are prohibited in the residential storage district. So with that, I'll stand by if there's any questions.
Thank you. This is a first reading. No need for action, but would encourage questions and comments. Council. I would just like to thank Manager Hanton for revising it. As it said in the agenda packet, it was largely at my request to address some of these questions that I had. I thought it would be better to address some of the concerns that I had about the visibility, especially among the neighbors. I thought it would be better to address it ahead of time and rather than pass the ordinance and have a problem come up later. So thank you for doing that, and I think we have improved. So Councilman Mormon was first. Okay.
Just a quick question, as I'm reading the new ordinance here. We're still gonna allow vegetation to be a choice for the 6-foot-high screening?
Yes, as long as it is 6 feet. And that would be required to be installed at the 6-foot height before a certificate of occupancy would be issued.
Okay, so it's not like somebody could plant a little tiny sapling, 20 years down the road, we'll have 6 feet.
Yeah,
Okay, that's the main thing I was concerned about.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilman Jurens.
So I, like the mayor, am glad that this has come forward, and thanks for your work on this. I'm seeing the definition of a storage container, but you also know that I received quite a few calls on one that sat there unfinished for a long time, and wondering if that has been addressed, if there's a time limit. Remember, we talked about the time limit was like forever? And so the individual that had the storage container that they were eventually going to make look nice decided they just use it right up to the end of that time period. Has that been addressed?
Yeah, so typically with shipping containers, when they can be utilized as an accessory structure, depends on what type of district they're in, but if say that they're being used in a residential district, they would have to be framed and sided so that they matched what the primary structure looked like in residential construction style. Now, shipping containers, though, like a construction trailer or whatnot, you do see them being used during the construction period. So if there's a valid, it's not the word I'm looking for, but a valid building permit on the property, that's allowed 1 year. They're valid for 1 year. So you could potentially see that being utilized, but after the building permit is ready to be closed out and the certificate of occupancy is issued, everything would have to be conforming to that particular district.
Any follow-up?
So it's 1 year if they have a building permit. You know, they're building houses out of these things and stacking them, and actually they're pretty cool. They're doing all kinds of things with, to, not refurbish, but the word escapes me right now. I mean, they're just using stuff that can be used again, and we applaud people for that. But as you know, and I don't know how many calls you got, there were some people that were peed off at that one that sat there in a really nice, decent area of town. And let me just get some clarification. So if they have a building permit, this is for the public, I'm okay if you call again. But if they have a building permit, they have 1 year, then they can get an extension.
Potentially. Residential is typically 1 year, or depending on the reasoning, then they could get an extension for up to 3 years.
Okay, so if someone really wants to be a thorn in the public's opinion, they can keep that storage container there looking nice and pretty for up to 3 years.
And a project like that, it is at the discretion of the building official. So if it's not for any other reason, then it can be denied to be extended as well. So an accessory building permit or accessory structure building permit, you don't see those extended because there's no reason typically.
Again, thanks, Mayor, for getting this forwarded and your work on this, Brandy.
Councilman Mormon.
Just a comment, the one loophole I can see in this, or the one thing that we might end up having to deal with later on down the road is if somebody puts up a storage area like this next to residential, we have shipping containers that are brand new and painted white and clean and look nice when they're all in a row. And then you can go and buy shipping containers that are every multicolored you can think of and are completely rusted out. So I could see us having some trouble if all of a sudden we have blue and tan and red and green and orange and white and containers lined up, and they're really old, used, rusty ones.
But they can't have shipping containers in this district.
Okay.
So then, and regardless, they will have to rezone. So, but shipping containers can't go. If they were to rezone to a residential garage, they can't place them in that district, which is the purpose of it, is to be near residentially zoned properties or neighborhoods. So, yeah, they can't.
Sure. I'm just thinking, if somebody can see it from their living room,
Mm-hmm.
it could get interesting.
Yes. Yeah, and that's why we wanted to protect those residential districts with prohibiting them.
Councilman Hoyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Randy, I just wanted to clarify, when we're talking about a maintenance permit, are we more so talking about an active construction site? That's why we'd be seeing them using it more as just like a mobile office, or like a storage container for materials, tools, to be able to lock that up at night. And then the follow-on questions too. Does the clarification that we're using, will that affect any existing storage areas that are actively being used in town?
Thank you, Councilman Hoyer. So no, it won't, because this is a new district. So this was initiated at the beginning of 2025, and we have not had anyone rezone to this district, so it's a good time to focus on it and clean it up. And to your other question, that is your first question or comment. That is true, that it is when it's a construction site that people may utilize them for, the same way that they would utilize a construction trailer.
Perfect, thank you.
Any further comments or questions, council? All right, we'll see this back at the next meeting. We're on to city council announcements. Anybody have anything to say? Councilman Peters.
Thanks, Mayor. I was going to bring this up during the discussion on the drainage, but one thing that's come up repeatedly, and I know Councilman Jurgens has heard this, is the road condition of that South Lake Drive area by the city park. That is in really bad shape. I don't know where that falls in our plan, but we should certainly make that a priority to take a look at, because that area out there needs attention, and the economic impact we get from those campers, I think, is important, just to showcase the lake. So that's all I had. Thanks.
Any other announcements? City manager report? Yep, city council, Councilman Hoyer.
Yeah, sorry, just to tack on to Councilman Peters' comment. I get a lot of comments from Mike on the north side of the lake too. I'm sure Councilman Jurgens hears it as well. The lake could probably just use a good, I'm sure our engineering department does this, but I think we could use a good road status look at just how the lake's doing in comparison to other things and where it sits on a project list. I'm sure you guys already have it slated for work at some point, but just so we can make that available to the public, and say that to them as well, where it currently stands. Because I mean, even on the north side, you're bouncing going along that just because it's heaved and stuff, but it's just road that needs to look and just love more information.
Thank you. Councilman Jurgens.
I'll use my announcement time too, because Justin and I just chatted about this the other day for probably the third time, about prioritizing South Lake, North Lake Drive. Not it's because it's in my, my ward, it's because every visitor, every farmer that likes to go out for a drive in the evening, and I hear from them, they love to take the cruise around the lake. I'm glad I'm hearing more support from councilmen. That's good. Appreciate that. A lot of the flume ride that you get is from all of the replacements of the water main that hooks up to the street from bad construction from, I believe, the 70s. So I'm hoping that now that maybe 90% of them, I'm just guessing, maybe it's only 50% of them are done, that some of this road improvement can happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Now the city manager report.
I had 3 items, but I've added a 4th, so I'll take that one first. City Manager Peterson and I discussed just about a week and a half ago about publishing the entire road plan, looking out into the future so that the public can see when various roads are scheduled in the current plan. And then we can take some feedback in terms of the prioritization. 3 other items, some items coming up. The Community Development Division has worked on a campus zoning district. That will be another new zoning district in the community that will allow us to have a higher density student type of housing. So I'd anticipate within the next 3 meetings, we'll be bringing that forward. Secondly, it's been quite a while since we've had a tax increment financing request in the community. We have received an application, and we will be taking that through the Planning Commission and ultimately to the council if the Planning Commission finds it to be a suitable location for the tax increment financing district. So that will be coming within the next approximately 4 meetings as well. And then finally, just an item to be aware of, in the legislative session last year, a bill was passed instructing the school districts and the cities to try to, and the counties to try to standardize on common election dates. And so we will be bringing forward for your information some potential options that we can look at. This isn't something that needs immediate action, but we do, now that we are not in an election year from a council standpoint, we want to review it with you as a council to see if you have opinions on the time of the year that we hold municipal elections. We're given a couple of options under state law, so we'll bring that forward in a future meeting. More substantial may be to change the actual year that we hold elections, and we may want to push that forward to a future charter review session and just address the time of the year first. That's all I have.
Thank you. And we do have a reason to go into executive session for conversation regarding a personnel matter. We will not be taking any action when we are done with that. So Chair will entertain a motion to go into executive session. Made by Councilman Peters, seconded by Councilman Allen. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, the motion is to go into executive session. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Aye. Motion carries. Good night and God bless you, Watertown.